Open up your mind and imagine the possibilities. Broadcasting live to you worldwide from the great Upper Midwest. This is Night Talks Radio. Want more Night Talks? We have you covered. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter at Night Talks Radio for bold and truthful commentary, breaking news, show updates, program guest information, and so much more. And hey, thanks for listening.
Hey guys, this is Jennifer Gregerson. Night Talks Radio News is coming back exclusively on NTR Facebook. I'll bring you the latest news without the mainstream media spin. The real stories, the real facts, the real truth. Because here at Night Talks Radio News, I do not comply with fake news. Night Talks Radio News, weekly with me, Jennifer Gregerson, starting this month on NTR Facebook.
You look at me like I'm crazy when I shut my feelings out. You look at me like I'm different, still you stay cause you feel something real. Get so lost in my moments, doesn't mean I don't need you. I fell in love with your colors, they kinda tell me what I'm thinking. I fell in love with the way we are, and the way we lose it. There's something different about us, and the reason why we stay. We fly around like paper planes, we never know where we will fall. Nobody can see us, still they wanna tear us apart. There's something different about the way we are.
From the great Upper Midwest and coast to coast, nationwide, and of course online, worldwide, this is another edition of Night Talks Radio. Well, first off, people, we would like to say belated Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, including our wonderful and beautiful co-host, Jennifer Gregerson, who does so much for the show in the background that no one ever sees. But she puts a ton of effort into Night Talks Radio. She is the mechanism that makes NTR what it is. If we didn't have her, there probably wouldn't be a show. Let's just put it that way. So again, a special thank you to not only a great mother, but a great co-producer, co-host, guest seeker, amongst many other things. So Jennifer Gregerson, here at Night Talks Radio, we would just like to say thank you for everything that you do. Now, with that said, once again, you're probably looking at your calendar and realizing today is Monday once again. Quite similar to what happened last week with the program. Well, folks, Friday night was great. We had some wonderful guests scheduled. At least we thought some of the guests were wonderful. Saturday's guest turned out to be a real dick. He was rude, unruly, and just downright unlikable. I don't see him doing many radio interviews in the future. I certainly won't be recommending him to any of my radio industry friends anytime soon. So because of him, Saturday's show had to be canceled. And of course, this was a show about the afterlife, which I know many of our fans and listeners of the program have been dropping messages at Night Talks Radio's email suggesting that we do shows on the afterlife, which of course we have no problem with, and we thought that we found a perfect guest for doing so. That we could perhaps find out what happens when somebody ceases to exist. What is the true afterlife all about? And again, unfortunately, because of our Saturday guest, that show did not happen. And one of the things that we hate most here at Night Talks Radio is disappointing the fans, the listeners. It does happen in radio, podcasting, whatever you want to call it, but it seems like it's been targeting NTR for the past few weeks, or weekends, I might say. So then we thought, well, Sunday we can redeem ourselves with a great broadcast. We were going to have a guest on who wanted to go by the name of Ashrak. That's right, Ashrak. A-S-H-R-A-K. She was something of a different breed. And yes, she was a she. She would have been calling from a secret, undisclosed location for not only her safety, but perhaps our safety as well. She is a part of a program that some of you may have heard of. That program is called Super Soldiers. But, unfortunately, on Sunday night, we could not continue with the show for security reasons. So Ashrak asked if we could move the secret interview to tonight. Well, we had more unfortunate news on this night. As you can tell, the way that I am talking to you, there is no show for tonight, unfortunately. But this has to do with Ashrak being a super soldier, and if you know anything about the subject, you know that super soldiers are modified humans. They work a little bit differently than we do, and need specific things in their body to help them along the way. Tonight turned out to be one of those nights. So again, unfortunately, Ashrak could not be with us, but we have rescheduled her for Saturday, May 28th at 9 p.m. Central Time. She has managed to figure out a time that will not only be good for her, but obviously good for us and our listeners. But again, she is doing this secretly from an undisclosed location, once again, when the 28th comes about. So one last time for you, and how they say third time is a charm, we will have Super Soldier Ashrak with us for May 28th, which will be a part of a Memorial Day weekend event here at Night Talks Radio. So we definitely look forward to that. We wanted to come on the radio, though, tonight, do a small show to kind of fill you in on what's going on, why there wasn't a show tonight or this past weekend, and just simply tell you what's ahead for Night Talks Radio. We are slowly coming alive, folks. Just a matter of time, as they say. So me and Jennifer will get you the important information that you need to know about upcoming shows And like I said, updates and everything that has to do with NTR. Our next episode will be episode 11. We've made it this far. It doesn't seem like much, but episode 11 is a great step for us. And we're going to keep on chugging, folks, with the very best in late night talk radio. So coming up next, from the great Upper Midwest, it's going to be me, Daniel Breuer, and co-host Jennifer Gregerson, doing an open talk for you. And if you have any questions, we're even going to open up the phone lines the entire segment. You can easily contact us nationwide at 1-507-384-9390. Or you can drop us a line anytime at nighttalksradio@gmail.com. So folks, don't move a muscle. We'll be right back with you. This is Night Talks Radio on a special Monday night edition. Want more Night Talks? We have you covered. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter at Night Talks Radio for bold and truthful commentary, breaking news, show updates, program guest information, and so much more. And hey, thanks for listening. What's going on, people? Daniel Breuer here with you tonight on a very special edition of Night Talks Radio. And as always, I have my beautiful and lovely co-host, Jennifer Gregerson, right next to me. Why don't you say hello to the audience out there, Jennifer?
Hello, everyone.
And tonight, of course, I'm sure a lot of you were wanting to tune in to listen to a super soldier named Ashrak. Jennifer, you have been speaking to this female named Ashrak, who, by the way, would have been calling in from an undisclosed location for security matters, for her own safety, and most likely our safety as well. What can you tell us about Ashrak, Jennifer, and why couldn't she make it tonight?
Well, she is a very interesting person. I have been speaking to her for about a month now. She is a bioengineered, essentially an engineered robot. She's got about 24% human in her, and she will explain the rest of it at the show here on the 28th. The reason she couldn't make it in tonight is because she needs a special medicine, you guys, to keep her organs going in her body. And if she doesn't have that medicine, she has 2 weeks or she will die.
A special medicine. Can you explain just a little bit more about that? What does this special medicine do to her exactly?
Yes, what it does is it helps get her metabolism going. It helps the endocrine cells in her body, along with the other organs, work in her body. See, what she is like I said, only 24% human. So she needs to have this medicine to be able to get our human organisms to actually work in her body.
Okay, so does this essentially make her sick? Like a human, I suppose? Almost like you have a cold or something? Your muscle aches, things of that nature?
It basically makes her really weak and non-functional, where she cannot think, sometimes she can't speak, she gets very nauseous, and yes, she does get very sick. But the interesting thing about her, you guys, is that because she has other DNA in her, she can actually heal faster than any normal person.
Okay, that is pretty amazing. And I know, of course, super soldiers have been around for a while, at least the topic and subject. Now, you say she's 24% human. Can you explain to us in the audience what the other percentage is exactly?
I can't explain exactly. All I know is she has 5 different ET species inside her.
5 different extraterrestrial species. Do you happen to know what those species are?
I do not know all of them exactly. I guess she is going to actually explain that in detail more with us on the show.
Understood. Why does she have to call from an undisclosed location? Why does she have to be so secretive about this?
Because actually not a lot of people know about her out there, and she is working with some agencies that is actually working on figuring out more things for the future that can actually be threatening to her life.
Now, I've heard 2 different sides of the coin here, so to speak, with super soldiers. I don't know if you can answer this or not. I know that you've been speaking to her more than I have, but is she doing good or is she doing bad for the human race?
No, she is actually doing good.
And if I may, what exactly is she doing that makes you say that she is doing good? Can you disclose that information even just a little bit?
I'm sorry, I cannot disclose that information. She will talk a little bit about the missions that she has already done, but she can't disclose the missions that she is already going through right now.
Has she told you to say this?
I am not allowed to say anything about it.
Wow. So,
it's for my safety as well.
Well, thank you for telling me that. I would assume if it's for your safety, it's for my safety as well. So I probably won't dive into that area of the subject anymore.
I can tell you that she has a report about me of what I'm supposed to do for the future.
A report about you?
That is correct. And I tell you folks, when I talk to you about having these dreams and these entities, these ETs, the blues, coming to me in my dream and telling me to do these things for them, it is absolutely true. It is all in the report that I am actually a big asset for them in the future.
Well, of course we know about the Greys and other types of ETs. Can you explain to us what the blues are?
I call them the blues because they essentially look human like us, but they are all in a blue, let's say a blue outfit or whatever, like a suit.
Like a dressing of sorts?
Yes.
Is their skin color blue?
No, their skin color is not blue. It's actually human like us.
How tall are they?
They are probably about the same as us. They grow about the same. Some are actually a little bit taller. Some can get up to 7 to 8 feet tall. Some can actually be 5'7" and a little bit shorter.
Do you know where these aliens originate from exactly?
I do. They actually originate from the Andromeda actually star cluster. It's not the galaxy now, you guys. It's the star cluster.
Not the galaxy, the star cluster. Okay, can you go into a bit more detail about that?
I was shown that the planet that I am supposed to go to is called the Zetaria planet, or Zetara. I'm not sure how they pronounce it, but that's what it was shown.
You know, since this is Open Talk and Open Lines, by the way, you can call in anytime. We have the nationwide call-in lines wide open tonight. So you can call in with any questions or comments for either me or Jennifer at 1-507-384-9390. But back to what we were discussing, Jennifer. How often have you had these so-called dreams?
Let's say I probably have maybe one of them once every month. They don't come very often. They only come to actually tell me messages or to show me things that they want me to do.
Now, in your head, or maybe they've even told you, why you?
I guess they say I'm a chosen one.
A chosen one. Now, can you explain what that means, a chosen one?
That apparently I have such high energy and they are actually attracted to me, and they believe that my high energy source will be able to get the things done that they need done.
And okay, so what are these things that need to be done specifically by you?
Well, one thing I need to do is I need to actually build a thing that's called the Rosebud Effect, and it's actually a device that goes up into space. It's run off of a quantum physics computer, and it goes out like a bud, basically, in like all different areas, and it's supposed to connect to all different planets. It's supposed to actually send a sound wave out to the planets to connect with the aliens.
So you're saying it's sort of like a telephone line connection, like a connecting all the planets. Is that what you're saying?
In that sense, yes. And the quantum physics computer is actually supposed to decode it faster than we have decoded anything before.
Are they doing things on this planet that we don't know about?
Yes, they are, and that is what Ashrak will talk about.
So Ashrak is involved with this as well.
She is part of this whole entire program, yes.
Wow. Okay, going back to Ashrak, are you allowed to say how she got involved with this situation?
She basically was born into it.
Born into it. So we're talking like, I guess you could say like Matrix style?
In a way.
Wow, that is very interesting. So she was born into the real world, so to speak.
Yes, her mother was artificially inseminated.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Now, was this by aliens then, I take it?
No, this was by both the aliens and the government.
The government.
And she'll explain.
Surprise.
Correct. She'll explain more about that as I ask her what she is all about.
I mean, we really look forward to this guest. We've been super excited. You know, of course, she was supposed to be on Sunday. What happened on Sunday that she wasn't able to be on the show, Jennifer?
You know, I'm not quite sure what all happened. All I know is that she had messaged me saying that she couldn't be on the show because she had an unexpected emergency. Now, when Ashrak tells me she has emergencies, I really don't go further into it because I know it's something to do with security-wise.
Well, she probably wouldn't tell you then, I would imagine.
No, she probably
especially not on an open phone line.
No.
So those 2 days, unfortunately, Sunday and yesterday, Sunday and today, which is now Tuesday, actually. So Sunday and Monday, she was unable, essentially, because of what she is and what she does.
That is correct.
Yeah, unable to join us for the program.
The one thing, Daniel, I wanted to tell you about the reports is she did tell me only certain people that she can read the reports on. So not everyone has a report. There's only certain people that have the reports.
Did she explain to you, okay, so you stated that she has a report on you, is that correct?
That is correct. The report basically shows what I'm supposed to do in the future.
So it's almost like a blueprint, like you need to follow these instructions of sorts, or how?
Well, I don't have to follow it. You know, basically the way she put it is I can choose to do it or I can choose not to do it. But me, by listening and by actually looking more into it, I'm actually chosen my path.
Now, you said that you were chosen. How many other people have been chosen? Did she mention that?
No, she did not mention it, but she did mention that there are many ET spaceships that come in and out of our portal, of the portals. They're saying that the black holes are actually space portals, and it's a way of space travel, and they come in and out several times throughout the whole entire day.
Wow, yeah, that theory has been out there for a long time as well, that black holes are actually portals, quicker ways to get to where you need to go, bending space and time, essentially, simply moving A and B and making B just connect with A, just bending, essentially.
That's correct.
Yeah, so now these dreams that you have you ever awoken from these dreams and found, say, marks or anything of that nature on your body?
No, I have never found any marks. See, the blues, at which I actually found out what they are. They're actually the, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, I know I am, but I want to say Palladians?
Palladians, you got it right. That's correct.
Yes, they are actually the Palladians that are contacting me.
The Palladians, okay. Now, how can you say that this isn't just a wild dream? Of course, we do this show where we talk about just multiple things, from the paranormal to, UAPs and things like that. How do you know that this just wasn't a wild dream?
See, and that's the thing, Daniel. I don't know for sure. I mean, I have been on their spaceship. I haven't been to the point where someone's actually been abducted, where a spaceship has come down. But in my dream, it's like I'm in their spaceship. I can see exactly what it looks like. I'm actually going to their planet. Everything. It seems so real and it's so vivid that I can remember it to this day. When I wake up and everything, I can write it down. I can tell you. I can probably even do a book on it if I really wanted to. I mean, it is so real, and the feeling about it is, it's not scary. I'm not scared at all. It's a joyous feeling.
Really?
Yes. It's a sense of freedom in a way, so to speak.
I know in the past that a lot of people, a lot of listeners and fans wanted to hear this story from you. So I'm kind of glad that we are moving into this subject.
This is just some of the stories that I have. There's other things that have happened to me in my past as well.
No, well, okay. Well, can you explain some of that for the audience?
Actually, no, because I'd like to share that for an actual show.
Gotcha. Understood. Now, how long do these dreams typically last, if you can recall, that is?
I don't know. I mean, I don't look at the time or anything like that. And with them, and when I'm up there, it feels like there is no time,
Really? Okay. When you're supposedly up there, have you ever noticed that there's anybody else around you besides these so-called aliens?
No, I have not.
Really? Okay. Do they actually take you places in their ship? Do you know where you're going, perhaps?
Yes, I have been to Planet Zeteria.
And that's the only place that they've taken you?
That is the only place that they have taken me so far, yes.
So what is... Okay, so we spoke about that earlier. What is so key about this specific planet? Obviously, I believe you said they come from there.
That's correct.
But why is it so important? What is meant to happen with this planet involving the human race?
Well, it all comes down to the end, the future. You know, when this whole world comes extinct, we are actually, Elon Musk has it right. We are supposed to go into space, but we are supposed to survive on multiple planets, not just one. Really?
Yeah, I thoroughly believe in what Elon Musk is doing. I know I've stated to you several times that this man is on a different level. He is definitely here to help. I know that there's a lot of folks out there that don't believe that. I guess once you are, as rich as Elon Musk, you somehow turn into a bad guy, no matter what you do. But in this case, Elon Musk, I really believe, is here to help the human race. Now, speaking of the human race, have you been told how does this planet go, or how does the human race go if we don't get this help or take this help or get off this planet? Have you seen visions? Have you been told a specific year? Anything in that nature?
Only thing I have been told within 20 to 30 years that this is actually going to take place. And what we need in order to get off of this planet is we actually need to share with the ETs their DNA. Because we as humans cannot survive alone with our DNA on other planets. We can't do it.
Really? Okay. Now, I've heard stories of, the government and NASA and things like that designing specific humans for space travel, long-distance space travel, where they might not actually ever get off the ship, that they are just meant to fly said ship and transport people back and forth. But you're telling me that we can't survive on other planets without their DNA? Is that what you're telling me?
That is correct. It's because of the fact that the atmosphere is too strong for our bodies to handle.
Okay. Is there oxygen, or is it something else? In what way do we? In what way would we change?
Well, it's called the Intergalactic Program, and we will know a lot more about that when Ashrak actually talks about it.
Okay, and yeah, we can't wait for that episode. Again, that has been moved to Saturday, May 28th at 9 p.m. Central. That's 10 p.m. Eastern. And that is with a super soldier. Her name is Ashrak, and she'll be calling from an undisclosed location for all of our security. So, Jen, can you tell us about next weekend's guest? On Saturday, May 14th at 9 p.m., we have Stephanie Langer. What is she all about? Can you kind of give the audience a preview of that?
Yes, she is a Bigfoot investigator. She is actually the lead of Squatch Hers. Now,
Squatch Hers.
Squatch Hers, so with the double H.
Is that a website?
Yes, squatchhers.com.
Okay.
You can go on Facebook as well and look for her as well.
Okay. And then moving to Sunday, May 15th, I'm a little excited here. I don't even know if I can get this out. Jennifer, who is our guest on that day?
Well, our guest on Sunday, May 15th is Connie Willis.
Connie Willis. I've heard that name before. By golly, is she from Coast to Coast AM?
She is, and she is actually going to talk to us a little bit about her program called Blue Rock Talk.
Yes, which I'm very familiar with. That is her own podcast, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And exactly what are we going to be talking about? I imagine her shows. I would like to dive into how she got into the industry, what pushed her to do what she's doing. I'm kind of curious about that. What kind of questions do you want to ask her?
Actually, I was talking to Connie, and one thing she wanted to talk about...
I'm sorry, you talk to Connie Willis quite a bit, actually, don't you?
Yes, I do. I actually talked to her just recently here, and I gave her my condolences.
Yeah, because if you guys are following the show, and we hope you are, our fans and listeners, we were supposed to have Connie recently, but I don't know the full story. But was there a death in the family? Is that correct, Jennifer?
Yes, that's correct.
Oh my goodness. Okay, and that's the reason why she couldn't make the show. Of course, we don't push anybody to be on the program, especially, if you have a death in the family, your mind just won't be there. You won't be able to focus on the show. The entertainment value obviously would go down, but the guest and what goes on in their life is much more important than our little teeny show here at Night Talks Radio. Now, we are going to continue. Let's see, we have somebody who was also supposed to be back, but I do think there was something that happened in his life, as a matter of fact. But we all know and love Mr. Jerry Ayers, don't we, Jennifer?
Yes, we do. He has some exciting stories to tell us, and I love the EVPs. Those are awesome.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was totally into the EVPs. We're calling this is essentially going to be part 2. We don't have an official title yet, but we're calling it part 2 because in part 1, when he was on Night Talks Radio not too long ago, when we went to play the EVPs, Jennifer, can you describe to our audience what happened every single time we attempted to play these EVPs?
Basically, we had trouble. Either we were having trouble with playing the EVPs, or actually we would lose Jerry Ayers on the phone. It was just crazy.
Literally, it every time we played, I think we were able to get one EVP out. And then towards the end of said EVP, he disappeared. He disappeared from the phone line. So I thought that we were having connection problems. Jerry called back in after a minute or so, and we continued to try to play the EVPs. This time, when we went to play the EVP, from the very beginning, we were disconnected once again. And it took a good 4 to 5 minutes to get Jerry back. We tried one more time, and wouldn't you know it, we could not play the EVP, and Jerry disappeared for a third time. So, we had so much to talk about in that show. There was so many intriguing things, including the EVP section, that we just moved forward and began talking about other things that we wanted to discuss. So, essentially, we did not even come close. I would say there's probably 40% of that show that wasn't completed. Jennifer, would you say that I'm correct there?
Yes, I still have a lot of questions that I couldn't get through.
I know. I have a ton of questions myself. Jerry Ayers, just a real good guy. So, Jerry Ayers, he'll be back, part 2. Like I said, we don't have a title yet. We're just calling it part 2. So May 21st, that's a Saturday, 9 p.m. Sunday, May 22nd, we are going to have a guest named June Lundgren. Now, Jennifer, can you explain what she does or what she is? I see that she's a demon seer. What the heck is a demon seer?
A demon seer is where you are chosen, where you can actually see the demons, you can hear the demons, you can actually communicate with the demons, you can get rid of the demons.
Wow, okay, that's interesting right away. She does other things. Can you explain that?
She is also a paranormal investigator, and she also wrote a book called Demon Seer.
Demon Seer. So she actually wrote a book called Demon Seer. She is a demon seer and wrote a book called Demon Seer.
Yes.
Wow, okay. Moving on, and of course Saturday, May 28th, we'll have Ashrak. And then to round out that Memorial Day weekend event of shows, we will have Jim Andre. Jennifer, what is so special about Jim Andre?
Yes, Jim Andre has some very interesting stories about being an alien abductee.
An alien abductee. Do you know any details of that as of now or no?
I do not know any details as of now. I briefly were told some about maybe 2 months ago, so I'm going to touch base a little bit more with him and study up and find out exactly what these interesting stories are all about.
Well, it sounds like we have a great month planned. And I will tell you right now, folks, last week we got some new equipment to make the program and broadcast much better. We shouldn't have difficulties anymore. It would seem now that the only difficulties would be with the guests and things of that nature.
Yeah,
perhaps.
That last guest was very unruly. I mean, you guys.
Saturday's guest.
We explained to him that we were having problems with our daughter getting down to sleep. And he basically told us that we were wasting his time. Like, us taking care of our daughter so we could do the show was wasting his time.
Well,
I mean, come on, you guys.
The funny thing about it is, by now, most of you know that we broadcast from a home studio. We beam our show directly to you from said studio. So everything takes place here at home. very Art Bellish-like, you would say. Everything we need is right here. But sometimes at night we do have a 3-year-old daughter who wakes up and needs to be taken care of, obviously. We had mentioned this to the guest, and yes, indeed, he did come back with what Jennifer said. And the thing that got me the most is with him saying that we were wasting his time. That would actually be the opposite.
He was wasting our time.
You wasted our time. We got the show together. Everything was ready. Final production. Everything was set to go and go to live broadcast. And it's not like we charged you or anything like that. We essentially were giving you free publicity. Just like we do with any other guest. We would never think of making the guest do anything, but we do put you in the spotlight, and he had the balls to actually say we were wasting his time. Well, I essentially told him to fuck off, and he will not be on Night Talks Radio now or in the near future. I believe that's the first time that we've had a guest like that, Jennifer. Am I correct on that?
Yes, most of our guests actually understand that we work from home and that we have a little one that we got to put down first before we start the show. And this one knew ahead of time. I mean, folks, I called him a few days ahead of time. We had a nice conversation. He was all okay with it and everything. But then the day of, it just seemed like he just turned out to be a major asshole.
Yeah. Jennifer, of course, if you don't know already, is the guest scheduler. So she reaches out to folks that we might want to have on the show that relates to topics on the show, of course. And she thoroughly talks to these guests. I mean, you've had some real connections and conversations in the past. Is that not correct there, Jennifer?
No, that is absolutely correct. I'm actually working on another guest right now who's going to come aboard and who's going to talk about the afterlife and everything, basically another show like we had before.
That's to make up for Saturday, by the way.
That is correct. But she has not experienced anything like a near-death experience, but she has talked to 2,500 people that have experienced them. So she has a lot of research on that.
2,500 people. And did you not say that these 2,500 people, or people that experience afterlife events, they're almost all different? They happen differently?
Yes, they do happen differently. All the scenes, basically that they see are different. And the only thing that isn't different, that is absolutely the same, is the feeling that they get. The joy, the overabundance of love, the freedom, the happiness, everything like that is exactly the same.
A question that I've always wanted to ask, since we're on the subject now of afterlife, has anybody, to your knowledge, come forward to mention, don't go into the white light, that it's a trick, you go to the dark? Have you heard anything like that?
No, I haven't. Actually, every single one of the forums that I have read and talked to the people, they have always told me that they see a white light every time, and that white light is either the source of God or an angel, or even just a spirit of some sort showing them the way to heaven.
So, did you say that when they see this white light that they are just overwhelmed with joy and euphoria? Is that correct?
That is correct. They're also overwhelmed with abundance of love. Like, they are actually really mad and very upset, and
Well, I would be too, damn it, if I died. I can tell you that now.
They're actually depressed, and they have a lot of anxiety issues from coming back. Like, some of them are told that this is not their time and they need to go back, and they actually have a lot of depression and anxiety issues from it.
After they come back.
That is correct, because they don't want to leave.
Gotcha, understood. Well, are they... Okay, so you're telling me they're forced to leave, or is it their choice?
No, if it is not their time, they are told to go back, that they cannot enter forward.
So what you're saying is there is a time and moment for everybody. And if it is not your time, if something accidentally happens here on Earth, in the humanly realm, it might not be the same up there, so you're sent back, is what you're saying.
That is correct.
Okay, understood. Now, why, speaking of that overwhelming light that gives you that joy and warmth you speak of, why do you think that is, exactly? Why do you get those feelings? I've heard reports of that as well, that you're just drawn to this light, like a moth to a bug light. Why do you think that?
I'm not sure. They just say that it's a real bright, almost crystallizing light. I mean, they can't even really explain it. I mean, it's so bright, and it's like a light that you've never seen here on Earth.
Do you believe in God, Jennifer?
I do.
You do. Do you believe in a hell as well?
Hell, yeah. I believe that there is, not the hell that we think there is, like where you go down in like a big pit, and stuff. But I believe there is a place where you go and you suffer for the rest of your life, yes.
What would you say that place is called? And what does it entail? What do you see? What happens there?
To me, it could be like purgatory.
Purgatory. So you're essentially just stuck in some sort of nightmarish dimension or something along those lines?
Yeah.
Or a plane, perhaps?
Yep, that's correct.
Wow, okay. So, now I'd like to go back to your dreams.
Yes.
Real quickly. We're coming up to a break here shortly, by the way. So I'm going to ask you just a few more questions here on Open Talk, Open Lines. By the way, if you have any questions for me, Daniel Breuer, or Jennifer Gregerson, my wonderful co-host, you can call us nationwide at 1-507-384-9390. We will definitely take your phone call. But Jennifer, one last question I'd like to ask before we go to break. How has this affected you in your daily life, these dreams? From the time you wake up to the time you fall back asleep?
It really hasn't affected me. I still go on with my daily life. The only thing I think that it's done is it's actually inspired me more to learn more about what's going on, what my sense is supposed to do in the future, what my spirituality is supposed to do, learn a little bit more about maybe my horoscope and about what the psychics have to say about me. That's what it's got to do.
Speaking of horoscopes, why the hell are you so popular with your horoscopes? Do you have any clue?
No, I don't know. I think it's just because everybody likes to hear their horoscopes.
I mean, me personally, I've heard about 1,000 different people say how much they love your horoscope segments. I mean, it's just amazing. Which, are you going to do this week? Are you going to do some horoscope segments this week?
Yes, I'm going to come back tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay. So I'm assuming that's going to be on NTR Daily Updates?
That is correct.
Okay. Excellent. Well, we're going to take a break, folks. We'll be right back here on Open Talk and Open Lines. It's me and Jennifer. This is Night Talks Radio. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, this is Jennifer Gregerson. Night Talks Radio News is coming back exclusively on NTR Facebook. I'll bring you the latest news without the mainstream media spin. The real stories, the real facts, the real truth. Because here at Night Talks Radio News, I do not comply with fake news. Night Talks Radio News weekly with me, Jennifer Gregerson, starting this month on NTR Facebook.
Where do we go from here?
Want more Night Talks? We have you covered. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter at Night Talks Radio for bold and truthful commentary, breaking news, show updates, program guest information, and so much more. And hey, thanks for listening. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Night Talks Radio. We've got open lines tonight, and open talk. We're talking about anything. In the first hour, we discussed what happened over the weekend and why we did not have shows on Saturday, Sunday, and tonight we were actually supposed to have a show as well. And that did not pan out. Just to remind the audience, Jennifer, what happened tonight? What was the reason we did not have a broadcast with Ashrak?
Apparently, Ashrak has a certain kind of medicine that helps her organs actually function. And if she doesn't have that medicine, she will actually get very sick. She will get weak and she'll vomit, or she'll not be able to function at all as a human because she only has 24% human DNA inside her.
So, just by what Jennifer has stated, I am probably going to guess, because I know our audience is quite smart, that you understand that she is a super soldier. That is why we've been trying to get her on the show, but there's been some difficulties, just like Jennifer explained, and there was also some difficulties on Sunday. And these things are all kind of secretive. She doesn't inform you about things that are going on that much, Jennifer. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. She can't say a whole lot.
And now this is just a question that I'm going to ask. In no way am I referring to Ashrak's situation, but I'm asking you, Jennifer, since you speak to her quite a bit, more so than I do, do you believe that she is working for the government in some capacity, a government agency that, say, we might know very well?
I do.
What makes you think that exactly? And who, in your opinion, might that group be?
I don't know exactly the group that she is working with, but I do know that she said that we can talk about something called the Black Program. I guess it's been around for quite a while, but it's something that the government is involved in.
Black Program. Did she mention when this so-called Black Program started?
No, she actually did not mention when it started, but she did mention when her experimental program started, and that was in 1988.
1988. Okay. Now, this isn't something sort of like what Major Ed Dames did, where he, essentially remote viewed things. This is not the same. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes, no, this is something completely different. And not only that, it also shows that aliens they have had human contact with the government for quite some time.
So, again, in your opinion, since I cannot speak directly about Ashrak, but in your opinion, do you believe that she has traveled to other planets and things of that nature? What she's been telling you?
Well, as far as I know, she has traveled to one other planet, but she is the type that she is not in the hybrid program. She is in the type of program where she has to stay here until her missions are all done, and then she can leave.
I see. Is this something, in your opinion, that lasts a lifetime?
She said that she can live up to 250 to 500 years old.
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time? What was the age there?
She can live up to 250 to 500 years old.
Wow. Okay. Does she stay the same physically? Or with age, does she age like us?
She will stay the same because of the fact that she has to have the proper medication and the proper stuff to be put into her body to keep staying the same. That's why she says it's always a challenge, because when she starts, let's say, morphing back into herself, she has to keep her human form. So it's always a challenge to try and keep that.
I would assume that this medication that she and you speak about, you can't get at your local pharmacy.
No, there's only a few doctors around here that actually know about this program.
Really?
And they work specifically with this type of people.
I was going to say, are they a part, in your opinion, again, are they a part of the project or
Yes.
government? Okay, so it's not like I could go down the street and talk to one of these doctors.
No, they are in an undisclosed area as well.
Okay, Jennifer, we got a question coming through on the chat line. What made you want to get into radio?
You know, that's kind of interesting. I've always kind of been wanting to. I took communications. I took college prep communications in.
That's what I did
in high school, and when I finished that, I kind of wanted to always learn how to write more. Maybe I wrote poems. I wanted to write books and stuff like that. But then when I started writing, I wasn't able to get my writing out there. And then I met you, Daniel, and you were interested in the radio and told me kind of what it was all about. And I thought, well, maybe this is a good idea to get some of my writing out there as well.
Well, yeah, indeed. Right away, I noticed that you had quite a bit of talent, both writing-wise, news-gathering-wise, and you just hadn't explored being on the radio yet. I think maybe you just needed to find your voice on radio programs, sort of like what we're doing now here at Night Talks Radio. Is that correct? Is that something that you...
Yes, that's correct. I mean, all through high school, growing up and everything, and even in my college years, you couldn't get me to stand on stage or anything to do karaoke or nothing like that because I was so afraid of the mic.
So you were you were essentially afraid of crowds or social gatherings, really?
I was. I'm not a big crowd person. I actually get really, really nervous. I sweat and... Yeah, you wouldn't even believe it right now to this day.
No, I mean, that's how I was. I can tell you that in high school. Sometimes I would get so nervous, whether it be taking tests or something along those lines. I would sweat so bad that, it was like a legit waterfall coming off of me, just leaking off of my nose. People would be looking at me like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? So I totally understand that. We have another question coming through on the chat line. This one from Shelly H. Why do we do this? Jennifer, I'll hand that one to you real quick.
I think we do this because we want to get the truth out there to everyone. We want to make it fun, very infotainment for everyone, and exciting. It's exciting to do this. It's just interesting to hear what the fans, the listeners, have to say after they listen to our radio show and listen to what the guests have to say. Very intriguing, interesting topics. That's why we do it, because it's all about truth.
I totally have to agree with pretty much everything you just said there. On top of, this is something that I personally wanted to do for a very, very long time. It goes back to the, I guess you could say, mid-90s. It would be during the week. I couldn't go to sleep before I had school the next day. I was sort of a night owl. And I happened to tune into a station that was playing a show called Coast to Coast AM. And I started to listen to the show for shits and giggles. And there was this host by the name of Art Bell. And when I listened to him, it's like I couldn't turn the radio off. I almost, in a way, had to listen to what he was talking about, or what guest he had on the show. Everything to me was super intriguing. And ever since, I have been involved with radio in one way or another. I am also very big into shortwave and ham radios. But yes, basically, I was turned on to radio and wanting to do a show like the show that we're doing now because of Art Bell. I don't know if I would be in the same direction that I'm in now if it wasn't for Art. The problem that I had was the fact that I didn't know how to get in. I thought it was something that you needed to know somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody. So I kind of put that goal on the back burner because I thought it would never be accomplished. But come to find out, look where we're at today. Me and Jennifer, we have our show, Night Talks Radio, and our goal is to continue to grow and continue to please the audience, the guests and the listeners and fans, of course. And it's also fun. It's something that we thoroughly enjoy doing. How do you feel about that, Jennifer?
Yes, I agree completely. It is really, really fun to do this. Like I said, the guests are very interesting. They've got intriguing topics. It's better than sitting down and watching TV all night.
That's true. And another cool thing, too, is that in 2022, just about everybody has the capability now to make their own radio show or podcast. But it is up to you and your ability to raise above those, normal standard podcast or radio shows. So it's truly a battle, but we do plan on rising far above and continue on, and we hope in a couple years that you'll be able to switch on your radio dial and hear Night Talks Radio with Daniel Breuer and Jennifer Gregerson. I mean, that is my goal. Jennifer, how do you feel about that?
Yes, that is definitely my goal too. We are a very unique radio show, and we want to keep on getting you guys to come back. And we are looking at new ways that we can improve every day and new topics as well. So we ask if anyone has any new topics or any ideas,
send them in.
Send them in to us. We'll be more than happy to take a look at them.
Send them right on in. You can send them to nighttalksradio@gmail.com. We are always looking for ideas, your thoughts on what would make the show better, things of that nature. So you are more than welcome. And, even if you have some criticism, we're open to that too. We can fix things. So,
Now, Daniel, I do see that Paul C. has a question for us. Maybe you can answer this. Why, when we say that we're going to put out a show, it takes us longer to put out the show? Can you explain maybe how putting out a show runs?
Well, okay, like I had mentioned before, we are not a major show, of course. We'll go back to Coast AM. Okay, we're not Coast to Coast AM. Okay, where we're in markets. We are contractually obligated to start at a certain time, end at a certain time, do breaks at certain times, this and that. And also, the major difference is we essentially are just a two-person crew. Essentially, we might have some outside help every once in a while, but everything that needs to be done is done by me or Jennifer. So, in terms of getting the show done on time in certain situations, which we have now learned to change up, and we have a new method, a new organizational method, I should say, to remedy that. But sometimes things go wrong, and at the last minute or so, you have to attempt to fix these things, or perhaps you won't be able to hear the guest, or one of our mics might not be working, or the computer decides to tell you to fuck off, or the storage device does the same thing. Just a multitude of things that could happen when you're live. So sometimes it takes a while for us to get online, so to speak, with our show. But, as I said, as we grow, and, of course, last week, getting some new equipment, that is not going to be a problem any longer, I hope, especially with this new organizational method. Jen, do you have any thoughts on this as well?
No, I don't, actually, Daniel. I completely agree. Yes, folks, with this organizational method that we have, it's all trial and error here up until this point. And then we found out that this organizational method is what exactly we need to get on, track with our shows. And with this one, this is actually going to help us out a lot.
I spoke of, we both have our parts that we do. What do you do, for people that don't know? What do you do for this show? You have multiple roles. What are they exactly?
Well, I do have one role where it's actually important. I go and I search for guests. And when I get the guests, I actually have conversation with the guests to make sure that is what we are looking for. I set up a time to talk to them later on and do a full interview basically with them. We set up a time for the show after that, and we kind of go from there. Another thing that I do is I do the news on Friday nights. I have a segment of the news. So I'm constantly looking at news articles and trying to find updated news, as well as the daily updates and my horoscopes. I got to get those out there on a daily basis, as well as be a mother to our wonderful little girl.
Right, absolutely. Looks like we have another good question coming in from Vicky J from Australia. She is asking why we decided not to have David John Oates on the program. Well, let me explain. First and foremost, we are bold here. We do not tell lies about how we feel. We tell the truth when it comes to those type of things. We tell the truth about what we think about the guest, and so on and so forth. Well, you probably may have noticed that several times we had promotions out there for David John Oates to be on the program. Well, after learning a little bit more about Mr. Oates and what happened in the late 90s and early 2000s between him and Art Bell, who, of course, was my inspiration to do what I'm doing now, without going into much detail, I finally decided, after going back and forth, because I originally was going to have David John Oates on. We had spoken, we had talked about it, but the final decision came down to just not have him on the show because of the, I guess you could say, bad talk about Art Bell. That's basically it. I simply did not want to have somebody that thought bad of Art Bell or, had problems with guests that Art Bell may have had. And then on top of that, here at Night Talks Radio, we like to change the game up. Whether it is David or anybody else from the past, we don't want the same people, essentially, okay? So, Jerry Ayers, for instance, that's fine, because we weren't able to finish the program like we wanted to. But as it goes for others, we want fresh blood, so to speak. We don't want played out, copycat type folks and guests out there. We want new, okay? We want to introduce our audience and listeners and fans to new people, okay? Because there's a multitude of shows that do exactly that. They bring on the same guests, it seems, over and over and over, which eventually gets quite old. Also, they talk about the same subject over and over and over, which also gets extremely old. And then, of course, you have some of these so-called radio hosts who just don't even care about their listeners or their audience. And that is just simply unacceptable to us here at Night Talks Radio. So, like I said, we look to change the game up. We want every weekend to be something new, something different, something that the audience will thoroughly enjoy and even be on the edge of their seat for the full 2 hours. And speaking of 2 hours, we were thinking about possibly making the show 3 hours because of not being able to get the full show. A good example being Jerry Ayers. So a third hour might be coming. But anyway, Vicky J from Australia, I hope I answered your question correctly about David John Oates. And of course, that's just my opinion, but I just decided not to have him on the program for multiple reasons that I just told you. And first and foremost, the Art Bell situation. So, there you go. Now, moving on rather quickly, as I see we have just a little bit of time left. If there are advertisers out there, okay, we are looking for local advertisement. Okay, I know that we have a few listeners here in our area, and if you're a business, we would love to get your business online here with us and get your name or brand or what you do, your company, picked up on a national scale. So, if you are, again, a local advertiser, join us. Hop on the ride. It'll be fun. I promise you that. And again, finally, we do want to be unique. This is a question that comes in from, well, look at that, that's a wonderful name, Dan. Looks like from Montana. Why we want to be unique? Well, that is quite obvious. We want to rise above. We want to be the best that we can possibly be. And that's essentially it. And there you go. You just heard, probably about 2 minutes ago, our daughter, screaming in the background for Mama. So that is what we have to deal with on live radio sometimes. Sometimes I can edit it out, other times I cannot. But that is what we have to deal with, no matter what. For the most part, she is very good at understanding when we say Mommy and Daddy have to be on the radio. But as you just heard, that flew directly out the window as she screamed for Mommy. What did she want, Jennifer, by the way, that was so important?
She wants Mommy to read her a story.
Which is very important at this age. You must read to your child. Well, I think we should probably wrap things up. What do you say, Jennifer?
Yes, I do think so. I better go read her the story. Have a good night, everyone.
Okay. We will certainly talk to you this week, as we will have plenty of Night Talks Radio daily updates for you up until Friday. And then we'll have Jennifer Gregerson with a brand new episode of Night Talks Radio News. And like I said, we have a new organizational method that will make us on time when we say what time we're going to start, in addition to new equipment and things of that nature. So, I hope that answered a lot of your questions tonight about the show, about who we're going to have coming up on the show, and all that good stuff. So, for Night Talks Radio, Jennifer Gregerson, the gremlins and goblins behind the scenes that help us out here at NTR, and me, Daniel Breuer. This has been another edition of Night Talks Radio, and we'll see you next weekend for sure. And remember, they are listening.